Good morning, fellow pan fishing aficionados. This is going to be fairly noisy because there's birds all around me, but I love nature and I'm at one of my local parks that's fairly close to where I live. I'm gonna bread real quick after these videos for carp before I go see my offsprings. So, first video is talking about crappie basics. Now, I've gone over stuff like this before. I didn't want to sit at the house this time. I wanted to be out and about for this. So I've always got notes, so here goes. This first video is crappie basics. So things that we all, if we're at a decent enough level of knowledge of panfish, know, especially with crappie, is they are always near cover of some kind. They use structure and cover as waypoints. They also tend to stay near them as a means of having access to ambush points as well. Sight is among the best for freshwater species. They are amazing at eyesight. I have seen and caught crappie in water so dirty I couldn't even see a foot, and thrown a shad colored bait and caught crappie. They sense and see a lot more than we really give them credit for. While not necessarily light sensitive, a majority will choose structure like docks and overhangs as well as outcroppings to shelter under. I think more of that is to do with the ambush factor than actually just trying to have shelter strictly for shelter. However, I think it is a factor still, the sheltering point of it. But they are very much ambush predators, and to a point it is shelter as well, because they are both predator and prey at the same time. So they have to have instinctual cognizance of that. Sight is more acute with respect to colors. They see the colors much further into the non-light penetration zone than a lot of species do. Since they see much more sharply than other species, I don't even know what I wrote there. And hunt bait consistently. Side note, I taught myself to write, sometimes it's horrible. Consistently, they can see natural colors in murky water very well, to make the point that I made earlier. They just can tell. It's what they normally do, you know. Live bait can never be replaced by representative baits. However, it is not always what their mood is. Whenever I get the option to catch shad or other live bait, even if I gotta buy it, I typically don't because I throw a cast net. I will go with live bait 90% of the time. They are nowhere near as easy as other species to get an anger bite from. I have noticed that instinct does play a factor, but they are very reserved about biting when they are not hungry or they're just not in the mood, and you've really got to work at it sometimes. Even with, I've noticed when I've been on a boat with live scope, there's times where they just don't want whatever you're throwing, and I've seen people throw everything at them. So, you know, it's a factor. Prey and predators, so they are used to run and gun eating habits, and instinct keeps them in large groups a fair amount of the time. I have seen on scope and on 2D massive groups of crappie. Now, bluegill to a point kind of do the same, but not to the extent as far as what I've seen that crappie do. It's insane how large a group I've seen, thousands of them together, and they're not a very social fish like bluegill are, but yet they still stay in large groups. And I think that is a preservation and feeding factor because of the prey to predator that they are. So I just kind of wanted to say those things because I've never said them consecutively, I've had points of reference in videos before, but not all that together. And this is one of the reasons that I use the bait profiles I use. This is the reason I use most of the colors that I use. And I'm gonna get into that in my next video specifically. So if that gives some perspective to people that are just now getting into the sport of crappie fishing, I hope that helps.